Hello and welcome. My name is Chastity Holcomb. I am so honored to be all up in your time and space. I know you could be spending it with anybody else, but we're here. Thank you. I am a therapist. I'm a mom just like you. I also do coaching, and it really does bring me joy to create content like this to help you live intentionally, to live mom fully you as you reconnect to yourself. You manage the stress and the overwhelm and even burnout that comes with balancing work and motherhood and everything in between. So thank you for hanging in there with me today. Before we hop into today's topic, I want to remind you that I have the free 5-day reset challenge that is available to you in the description. This challenge is all about reconnecting to what feels good to you and connecting that to this particular season of your life. Motherhood changes us. It changes the way that we function in a lot of aspects of our life. Sometimes you forget what's important to you. And you just need a little reset, you know what I mean? So go to the description if that sounds like something you'll be interested in, and you can start the challenge today. So about this whole burnout situation, there's a lot of different definitions out there about burnout and what it means and how we get it. But you know what? I think burnout is best described on an individual basis, because what might feel like burnout to me may not necessarily feel like burnout to you. You may have a much greater capacity for stress and change and transitions than I do. And so instead of necessarily sticking to a definition, right? So you see this list of, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing that, and it goes on and on. You're like, I don't have that. I don't have that. So I must not be burnt out. I don't want you to go by that. I want you to tune into yourself and listen to your specific signs, right? And so today is walking through some of those signs that you can think through and really just help you set up your own framework, your own blueprint to kind of diagnose yourself. Is this burnout? Is it gas? Have I just had a bad day? What is it? Okay. So the first thing is, when you are experiencing burnout, whatever that looks like to you, your capacity has decreased, you're feeling tired, you have very low motivation. One of the things that I have noticed with talking with tons of my clients over the years is that everything feels harder. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you used to enjoy it the most, if you put it as a priority on your list and it just was your jam before. Now it's not hitting like it used to. It feels hard, right? So things like, take work, for example. Say that you loved running a good meeting. Now, I don't know a whole lot of people that like meetings, but you did. In this scenario, you liked running meetings. And now, all of a sudden, okay, you feel very disconnected. You hate when Tuesdays come around because you know at 9 o'clock you have to lead your team, lead this meeting, and you don't want to. You can't really put into words as to why you don't want to, but you don't want to. Going a little bit deeper into the why is something that you can ask yourself. But looking at, I used to enjoy this thing, but now it feels so much harder. The in-between is why, right? That gap is what we need to look at. A lot of times there could be, a lot of environmental changes that you can look at first. Are there some changes, transitions that have recently happened that kind of sparked these feelings all of a sudden? Or can you backtrack and say, you know what, I actually started feeling like this in June. I actually started feeling like this 5 or 6 months ago. I actually started, can you track it back? One of the things I love about journaling, which you're on journaling, this is your reminder to try it out, is that you're literally documenting your life. So you can go back and look through your journal to see, you know what? This isn't the first time that I've gone through this particular challenge or felt this particular way. This has been going on for a long time. I know that I've done that before. I'll say, I've never had this tough of a time with a blah, blah, blah. And then I'll do a fact check through my journal. And then I realized the lie detector determined that it was a lie. I indeed did go through something that challenging. And I did indeed feel those hard things. So Think through, is this something that changed in my environment that's making this hard? Is it something that, or little things, right, that have been happening over time that has made this thing feel a bit more harder than it actually is? There's a lot of resistance in sudden changes. This is new to me. I don't know as much. I don't feel as prepared. Us overachievers, we like to know what we're getting ourselves into, right? We like to know the plan so we can stick to the plan, and not only stick to it, but overdo it. Okay, that's the plan. I want to do better than the plan, right? But if it's new, you have no blueprint. You have to create it step by step, and so the resistance might make it feel harder. That could be an option, but the other option could be there's a disconnect between what's happening. Maybe you've been doing it too hard for too long. I know that comes up with work a lot of times. Sometimes I have to peel myself away from the work that I'm doing. One, I truly do enjoy it. But two, I know that if I keep going too hard, too long, that I'm going to burn out. There's going to be a place where my body says, girl, if you don't sit down somewhere, that's how it be, So maybe that could be the same thing for you. The other thing is, how are your conversations flowing? I can tell a lot about a person and what they're going through by the conversations we have. Now, listen, I know I'm a therapist, okay? So I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and I can take a lot from a person's sentence than maybe someone who's not a therapist. However, if there is a theme coming up in every single one of your conversations, that is a call for your attention. If someone asks you, hey, how you doing? You're like, well, girl, I got this meeting on Monday and I don't really want to go. Okay, and you talk about that with your friends. It's okay. 3 months later, you're still talking about that same scenario, but nothing has changed. So if the theme of your conversations that are spread out amongst people and you're talking about the same thing, that same complaint over and over again, and your focus, you can't really think about anything else other than this big aspect of your life, right? Or maybe it's a combination of the aspects of your life. It feels all consuming. So it has your focus. If that is true, then there's something there. Why does it feel like work, motherhood, everything else combined and multiplied together? Why does it feel like those things are all consuming? There's nothing else in the room. There's nothing else in the world to talk about. It's only this. It's only this. If that is the case, when you are that zoomed in on your life, typically it's the more negative experiences of your life. When you're that zoomed in, you don't have the capacity to think about all of the other things that are happening around you. The lighter moments, the fun moments, the moments where you learn something different, the moments of growth, the moments of intention, right? Because you zoomed in on this particular focus and it's consuming you. But what if you zoomed out? And what if you try to zoom out, but you can't? Then my friend, I think that's a sign. I think it's important that we listen to and take inventory. I talk about this all the time, to the patterns that you are displaying, right? This is one of them. Those conversations, and maybe you ask the people that are close to you, you speak to them on a regular basis. Hey, I feel like every time we talk, I'm talking about this. Have you noticed that? And maybe say, yeah, girl, you really be into that. Or maybe they say, no, I haven't really noticed it that much. Or I know that you brought it up and you sound really down about it. How is it going now? Or whatever. Just ask them or think through some of the things in your conversation. It could be pointing or alluding to the fact that you are burnt out or burning out in a particular aspect of your life. And before it gets bad, it just needs a little bit more attention, more strategic attention. Or the fact that you just need to zoom out a little bit and focus on other aspects, okay? So one last thing here that I want to talk about is that your decisions big or small, are filtered through the intensity of the effort that you need to put in. So this is kind of related to the first one where everything feels harder. But this is more so around decision making. Maybe you are the type that, used to love to go to the gym. We're just going to use that as an example. You used to be in the gym living your best life, okay? But now all of a sudden, when you think about it, something that used to bring you joy, you think about it, it's like, I gotta get out of bed, find my clothes, put the clothes on, get in my car, drive, get out the car, go work out, get in my car, go back home. You get the picture? It just feels like the intensity of the effort involved in that decision is a complete turnoff. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not going to the gym. I'm not going to make dinner. I'm not going to put in that extra effort to write that email. I'm not going to call my friend. All of the things that probably bring life to you, right? That pour into you. Some of those things are like, no, I'm not doing it because of the intensity of the effort. Just like with everything feels hard, looking through why that is. But also, it's kind of like the chicken or the egg scenario. Sometimes we think that, okay, I'm not going to do it and I'll just wait until I have the motivation to do it. And then I know it'll make me feel better. But sometimes, right, it is doing the thing and then feeling better. But when you are entering into burnout or you already are burnt out, that can feel impossible. And so calling that flag, calling that sign and be like, oh, okay, there's something here. And the importance of all of this really is so that you don't get to the point where your crisp is feeling like bacon, okay? Where you don't get to the point where your burnout really starts to look more like depression, or your burnout really starts to look more like anxiety than it is a situational type of event. And so being able to take witness of all of these signs that are happening around you and within you, I believe can help you be able to do that. So these 3 signs around everything feels harder. Why does it feel harder? What is it in particular? What aspect of this feels hard and why? And then if you are focused on something in particular and you're talking about it all the time and you're talking about it in different conversations at different times, why is that? It's telling you something. It's revealing something to you if we would listen to it, right? And then the last one, thinking through what decisions have I made or not made because of the intensity of the effort that was involved. I thought there were way too many steps. I didn't have the energy or the capacity for it. If it was indeed a decision that worked out well for you, okay, but if it was one that could help you in a healthy way, help those around you in a healthy way that didn't sacrifice you in the process, just, dig a little deeper. See what that's about. Ask yourself, I wonder why that is. There are so this is more like preventative care for burnout. But if you have found yourself in a place of feeling kind of numb to the work that you're doing at work, to the work that you're doing at home, to the work that you're doing within yourself, it can feel like anything really can feel like a task, can feel overwhelming and too much to do, right? It's really hard. It's all consuming. It's too intense. And so I want to encourage you, especially if you are in the thick of burnout, because it is so easy for us to slip into burnout because we live in a culture that praises going and never stopping. I want to give you permission today to cut out, delegate, eliminate all of the things that are not necessary for you to do and replacing it with resting. Resting does not mean sleep. Resting does not mean taking a nap. It can mean whatever you need it to mean. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's instead of taking 15 minutes to eat your lunch, you take a full hour and you slowly chew every single bite of your food and you're not rushing. Okay, I gotta get back to work, right? And I know, with young children, it can be hard to kind of savor that moment. But when they're not around, maybe that's when you do that, right? Or it's taking your time in the morning to get ready, taking your time at night to decompress and prepare for the next day. Rest in the form that feels good and restorative to you will always be extremely helpful when it comes to recovering from burnout. Okay? So think through these things. I hope it was helpful. Marinate on it a little bit. Think about what's been harder, what conversations have been all consuming, and how much intense your decisions and efforts from your decisions has been. And let me know your thoughts and your feelings over on Instagram and in the comment section. And I will see you in the next one.